Welcome back to the Explainer. Now, if you've been following along with us, you know we've spent our recent foundational explainers really building up the core mechanics of astrology. We've unpacked the basics, we've explored the critical importance of the Lagna, and we've decoded the energies of the 9 grahas or planets. Well, it's finally time to put all of that knowledge to practical use. Starting today, we're embarking on a structured deep dive into the 12 signs of the Zodiac, examining them one by one. And in this explainer, we're starting right at the very beginning of the Zodiac wheel, focusing on the first 3 signs, Mesha, Vrishabha, and Mithuna.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll clarify Rashi versus Lagna. Then, we'll explore Mesha, Vrishabha, and Mithuna in detail. And finally, we'll wrap up by looking at the elemental connection between them all.
Section 1. Clarifying terms. Rashi versus rising sign.
Okay, before we actually analyze the signs, we really need to solve a very common point of confusion for beginners. Throughout this explainer, whenever we use the word Rashi, we're specifically referring to the sun sign. That's the sign the sun occupied on the exact day you were born. Calculating your Rashi is fairly straightforward. You generally only need your birth date. Now, this is fundamentally different from the Lagna, or rising sign, which we covered in a previous explainer. The Lagna requires your exact time of birth because it actually changes every couple of hours as the Earth rotates. Both are highly important, but today, our focus is squarely on the Rashi, your sun sign. That being said, if you're looking for a deeper, more advanced reading of your chart, the traits we discussed today can absolutely be applied to your Lagna too.
Section 2. Mesha, or Aries, the fire sign.
Mesha is governed by the planet Mars, which is also known as Kuja, and it is firmly rooted in the fire element. The energy here is best conceptualized through deep reds and burnt oranges. It's really an energy of spark, ignition, and raw driving force.
Notice how perfectly these positive traits align with the concept of fire. People born under Mesha are naturally energetic and bold. They're the true pioneers of the Zodiac. They're the type of people who will gladly jump out of an airplane and just figure out how to build a parachute on the way down. They absolutely aren't afraid of a blank slate. They're quick decision makers, fiercely independent thinkers, and they carry these very strong natural leadership qualities. They are usually the ones who ignite the flame of a new project or movement.
But, as with all things, every planetary energy has its shadow side. That exact same quickness that allows a Mesha native to make rapid decisions can very easily bleed into impatience. When you're used to moving at 100 miles an hour, you might find you have a notoriously low tolerance for people or situations that slow you down. Because of that fiery Mars influence, anger management can sometimes become a real struggle, particularly if Mars happens to be afflicted in the person's birth chart. It's essentially the challenge of learning how to control the burn so it warms the room rather than burning the house down.
So, where does this fiery, pioneering energy actually thrive? Well, Mesha natives are exceptionally well suited for dynamic, fast-paced, and highly competitive fields. This makes careers in sports, military service, entrepreneurship, and engineering incredibly fitting for them. They simply need environments where their action-oriented nature and those quick decision-making skills are actively utilized and rewarded. Now, a crucial point to consider is what happens when that Mars energy is unbalanced or afflicted. In Vedic traditions, there are historical, time-honored practices recommended to help harmonize this energy. We should be clear that these aren't medical prescriptions, but rather traditional methods of mindful realignment. For an afflicting Mars, the traditional recommendations include fasting on Tuesdays, which is the day associated with Mars, reciting the Hanuman Chalisa, or donating red-colored items, which physically symbolize the planet's fiery energy.
Section 3. Vrishabha, or Taurus, the earth sign.
Moving on, Vrishabha is ruled by the planet Venus, known as Shukra, and its element is Earth. Notice the complete shift in energy here, as we transition away from the volatility of fire into the dense stability of Earth. If Mesha was red and orange, Vrishabha is best visualized through lush forest greens and rich, warm browns. It's an energy of growth, deep groundedness, and material beauty.
This earthy Venusian energy builds a completely different personality profile. Vrishabha natives are essentially the bedrock of the Zodiac. They're known for immense stability, incredible patience, and a highly practical outlook on life. Unlike Mesha's sudden bursts of speed, Vrishabha builds gradual success through consistent, methodical hard work. They place a very high priority on financial security, and they're prized for being extremely loyal and endlessly reliable friends and partners.
However, that immense love for stability can sometimes solidify into pure stubbornness.
Try changing a Vrishabha native's favorite restaurant at the absolute last minute, and you will likely see this firsthand. When the world around them starts to shift rapidly, they can have a very difficult time adapting to that change. Furthermore, because Venus rules aesthetics and Earth rules the material realm, there can sometimes be an excessive attachment to material possessions or a genuine fear of letting go of physical comforts. Because they excel at building and maintaining security, and because they're ruled by Venus, which is the planet of beauty and aesthetics, their ideal career paths are quite fascinating. Vrishabha natives thrive in finance, banking, and agriculture, where patience directly yields tangible results. They also do exceptionally well in the arts and the luxury goods sector, fields that require a highly refined aesthetic sense and a deep appreciation for quality.
When a Vrishabha native experiences an afflicted Venus in their chart, traditional practices look to rebalance that earth and beauty energy. Historically, the traditional remedies recommended for this include fasting on Fridays, the day governed by Venus, reciting hymns to goddess Lakshmi, the deity of prosperity, or donating white-colored items, which are traditionally associated with Venus.
Section 4. Mithuna, or Gemini, the air sign.
Now we transition away from the heavy, grounded Earth into a much lighter, faster, and highly communicative energy. Mithuna is governed by the planet Mercury, or Buddha, and it's our first air sign of the zodiac. We visualize this swift, intellectual energy using bright golden yellows and clear sky blues. It's essentially the energy of the wind, constantly moving, carrying ideas and information from one place to another.
The positive traits of Mithuna are completely driven by the communicative power of their ruling planet Mercury. These individuals are incredibly intellectually versatile and constantly curious. Honestly, they're the sponges of the zodiac. They absolutely love learning new things and exploring a wide variety of different fields. And because they're an air sign, they're highly adaptable and generally possess excellent social skills, allowing them to navigate almost any social circle with total ease.
But the challenge of having a mind that moves as fast as the wind is keeping it tethered. Mithuna's sheer versatility can easily manifest as inconsistency. They might have a tendency to shift their attention to a shiny new concept or project before actually finishing their current one. This hyperactive mental state can also leave them trapped in cycles of overthinking and deep indecisiveness. Have you ever been paralyzed by having way too many good options? Well, that's the classic Mithuna challenge, because they can clearly see every possible angle of a situation.
Mercury's heavy influence over communication and intellect naturally points Mithuna toward very specific, fast-paced career fields. They are natural fits for media, journalism, writing, and sales. They also make fantastic teachers and excel in the rapidly changing world of technology. Essentially, they thrive in any communication-heavy field that requires constant learning and quick mental pivots.
For those born under Mithuna whose Mercury might be afflicted, traditional Vedic practices offer ways to help ground that somewhat nervous, airy energy. Historical recommendations involve fasting on Wednesdays, which is Mercury's day, reciting the Vishnu Sahasranama, or donating green-colored items to help balance and calm the intellect.
Section 5. The elemental connection.
Viewing these three signs together reveals a really clear, brilliant progression. We started with Mesha and the fire element, which is entirely action-oriented. It sparks the initial idea. Then we move to Vrishabha and the earth element, which brings stability. It takes that initial spark and builds something tangible and lasting out of it. And finally, we arrive at Mithuna and the air element, which is focused on communication. It takes what was built and shares it with the world, spreading the ideas and connecting people. Action into stability into communication. It's a perfect, continuous engine of growth. So, taking all of this in, I want to leave you with a question to ponder. Which of these Ashi traits resonates with you the most? Are you the fiery initiator, the earthy builder, or the airy communicator? Take a moment to think about it and let us know your thoughts in the comments. This beautifully logical sequence is just the beginning. The fourth element in this pattern, water, is up next. In our following explainer, we'll be diving deep into the emotional depths of the water element, starting with the fourth sign of the zodiac, Kataka. You really won't want to miss how the pattern evolves from here.